Okay, this is, I'm going to be doing this for myself, but I might share it on the internet. Also, I'll be conscious of avoiding certain things. This is in case someone has trouble with this course instructional material. Okay, this first one is the evaluation assignment 1 research topic. This is the one I'm doing at the moment. This, let's see. Okay, this particular thing doesn't show how to do it, so I'll use this. Basically, the idea is I'm supposed to find 3 topics. Eventually, I'll zoom in on one of them and only do it, and it will be my final thing in the end. I had to find 3 of these subjects to make. Okay, here I already decided what those 3 would be. It's 2 of them. Should taxes on alcohol and tobacco be increased to help pay for rising medical costs? I said yes, or I'm going to say yes, I should say. And should minors who commit violent crimes be tried as adults? Said no, with 2 exclamations. A minor is a minor is a minor. We need to make up something new for them, not try to treat them as adults. They actually land up in cells with adults. I mean, it's complete adult system, not just finding out if they're convicted or not. Should rules requiring all members of a jury to agree for conviction be changed? I should have put a couple of exclamation points after that one as well. The answer is absolutely not. One might say the very definition of an oppressive regime or government is that they make it easy to make convictions. That is one of the things which has held the American one back from being oppressive. That it's hard to get a conviction. Never make it easy for the prosecutors. They're professionals. Every single one of them is an expert. The person who's arrested is almost always an amateur defendant. And they should be given a handicap. And taking away something that says you have to convince everyone that they're guilty, that's too much. And plus, once you do that, you kind of break the seal on it. The moment you start making changes in that, which has never been changed, is the moment it starts changing. In a decade or 3, it'll be different from what you intended. And be sure of that. Okay. Now, this assignment. Of course, you don't have to agree with that. In fact, I'm supposed to be speaking to people who either don't agree or who are on the fence about it. Those are really the audience that I'm trying to speak to for this. And that is also a part of what this assignment is. You're supposed to determine a subject and who the audience is. Subject and who the audience is for all 3 things. Let's see. Please, let me see here. Read the list of topics located where I just read them. Or by clicking there, on which to write a research paper. Select 3 topics that interest you most and identify 2 credible sources for each topic. Probably should look for credible sources before I decide on which ones, but I can start now. This is one of several parts that will build a final draft. Okay. Write a 1 or 2 page paper in which you explain the reason for selecting topic 1, identify the audience, and provide a preliminary thesis statement. A thesis statement is not the subject. A thesis statement is exactly statement. I am making a statement. Like if I had used the phrase a minor is a minor is a minor, that's a thesis statement. Well, sort of. But if I stated something like determining whether or not to try minors as adults? Or should minors be tried as adults on even most violent crimes, the most violent crimes, or something like that? That would also not be a thesis statement because it's a question. It's supposed to be a statement. If I were to say definitely minors should not be tried as adults, even on the most grievous crimes, that is a thesis statement. Or, hey, if you commit the crime, you should do the time, and that's just it. That's all there is to it. Well, that's not a thesis statement because I went too far into it. Let me say it more as I would write it. Minors who commit crimes that are adult-like should be treated as adults. But really, well, this is part of my comment. If you're going to do that, if you're going to follow that logic where that's concerned, then why not apply it to everything else? Why not at least the very same minors that are now being treated as adults where this is concerned, allow them to smoke and whatever and date people twice their age and whatnot, or go, it's the same thing. Why would the government be able to wave the magic wand and say, for its purposes, it shall consider them to be an adult, and yet no one else can do that with the exact same person? That is weird. It's like it basically is waving a magic wand. I mean, it's completely arbitrary. Just a desire to exact some type of revenge. It isn't exactly justice if it's going to treat a 15-year-old like they're 25 or 8-year-old like they're 18 just because they happen to do something. That has to do with their reasoning ability. They may be able to reason in basic function, but they don't have an adult's experience to know what to and what not to actually do, which that could be taken as proof of. It just happens to be in a very bad zone of consideration. It doesn't change the fact that they're still only 15. What we need to do is to make a completely new, I should be writing this rather than talking it, make a completely new court system for these transitional cases, which is what it should be called or considered like. They're like one is in between the two, where they may still be a minor, but they committed an adult crime on an adult level with an apparent adult unwillingness to be otherwise incorrigible, as they say. Okay, let me see here. Week 2, assignment 1. Oh, this is CIA. No, not CIS. This is English 215. Okay, and we have to do this with the Strayer's methods. Well, the IPI methods, not IPI. I mean, look it up. There was a word I know full well. For some reason, it just slipped. Assignment must follow the following guidelines. We type double space, use New Romans, time, etc. One margin. APA, that's the word I was looking for. APA format. Cover page, etc. Let's see. Times Romans. Here's one thing that took me a while to figure out. I know about the double spacing, but I did not know about this. Like in between the paragraphs, there would be a little extra space there. That's because I didn't remove this. Sometime or other, I need to figure out how you can write this in if I put it on video. How am I supposed? I'll skip the cover page for now. How do I make it so that it's automatically saved? I mean, as one of these to make it the default. Assuming there is a way. I have tried this. Update no longer match. Now close. Now open a new one. and it's still like this. I'm clicking on normal, and it's not happening. I mean, I wrote an APA for this. No. Wait a minute. Modify. Name normal. Style paragraph. Style following paragraph. Okay, this might be it. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. It's actually the first time I've come across this. Oh, whoops, I don't know what I just did there. What? Why doesn't it? Let's see. Font Times New Roman 12. That's right. Line double space. What? How do I change that? Okay, let me try it, see if it works. Close. Time it out, saving. And right. I don't know how. Wait a minute. Oh, I'm taking too long in this, and it's not even my real subject. So I'll just set that aside for now. I'll probably figure it out later if I make another video of this. I would hope that I figured it out by then. I put those in new. See here. Okay. Now, for this, explain a reason for selecting it. Identify the audience. This shouldn't take long at all. So I think. Actually, if I just type what I just wrote for that first one, I've got it. Okay. Now, the first one is taxes on alcohol and tobacco. That's not going to work right. Let's see. First of my topics is wait a minute. I won't do it that way. Not entirely sure how I should do this. But this is the one where I turn it on, teacher looks at it, and then he gives me feedback, and then I fix it. So for this one, I won't be pressed to be perfectly correct. I'll just say it so he can readily find the topic, and then I'll move on. Okay. Topic 9. What is I'll do it that way. Is as follows. allows me to put it by itself. Should taxes on alcohol and tobacco be increased to help pay rising medical costs? Medical costs that'll continue to rise. Okay, apparently. What? I don't like that. Let me see. I don't like that being there. Maybe there's a way around it, okay? Alright, so that's that subject. Actually, let me fill all these in 1 minute. Topic 13 is minus this might be the one I wind up staying with. Crowley adults. And the final one, I scan these in the computer right here. I actually have them on a sheet of paper. But I guess I could have clicked on the rubric. On the assignment where it says or click here. I haven't tried that. I already have this. Assignment 21 is as follows. Rules requiring all members of a jury to agree for conviction be changed. Okay, let me see. That is the end of that part. Now, explain the reason for selecting the topic. Identify the audience. Well, I said select one that I feel strongly on. I only had 3 that I really thought that strongly on. One with the question mark was, what was it? Yeah, the one with the question mark was one that I was sort of about. Should such offender registration laws be changed? They are a little crazy. For some reason, it doesn't take much and they're all in the same basket. So the person who does something that only barely registers gets the exact same effect as someone who does the most extreme things. There's no difference. That's kind of weird. But oh well. Let me see here. I didn't know of one case where the military, someone, like a female, patted the male on the bottom or whatever, on the butt, and he did the same thing back. Someone only saw his action and reacted according to that, but he got convicted and now he has to register as a sex offender forever. That's ridiculous. And it undermines what it was meant to do because it makes it look unnecessarily silly. But that's not my subject. Let's see. I will go with some of this other stuff. It's like people just throw away thinking when they think it applies to certain categories. Car stuck in park. In my case, you just pull the thing up and it takes it out of it. I forgot about that. That was a Chevy Malibu Classic. You pull it up and it won't get out of park. I've totally forgot about that and was working with it for a while until I finally remembered it. Okay, now, taxes on alcohol and tobacco be increased. I would want to do the other one first because I feel so much stronger about it, but I also want to put these in order. I guess I'll go with the one I'm stronger about because I don't want to lose it, because for now it's so easy to write about it that it's like I don't even have to do it. It's just venting. So I'll go with that one first. Should minors be committed, let me see, to the adult justice system? It isn't just a matter of trying them as adults. Now, first, tried as an adult, looking for on the internet for a good source. Wikipedia, they particularly name as not being a good one because anyone can write in it. Juveniles are tried as adults, criminal court. Here's one thing that could help. Sometimes you can type things that make it more likely for them to come up, like .gov. Yes, it works. Let's see. There's always government sites, so they should work fairly easily. Trying juveniles as adult and analysis. State transfer. Juveniles in adult prisons and jails. Now that's what I'm looking for. That's the angle I'm talking about. The fact that it's not just a court, not just a trial, but everything about it, including the punishment, is as if they were an adult, which they are not. So, should they be? What's the difference between doing that and, I'll put it this way, dating them? Let's do the math on that idea. It's the same thing. In fact, it may actually literally wind up being the same thing. Because when you're in jail, you are also under the protection, whether you like it or not, of the government. They're responsible for you, and they're responsible for that juvenile. They may be incarcerated, but they are still a juvenile. It didn't just change. And if they're going to say that they can arbitrarily change that, then what's left? Let's see, historical context. First, can I get references on this? Department of Justice Office, Bureau. Why is it that they do this? It seems maybe this one's in 20. Oh, okay, there we go. The person themselves who actually wrote it. Oh, wait a minute. Justice. No, this is not who wrote this. It's kind of odd. They're so close to being a good source. And they still are, actually. I can still use this. It just won't fill in all the slots. But they don't all actually need to be filled as a minimum. That gives me the year pretty good. I could be wrong on some of these comments, so if you see it, just give me a chance to catch on. Remember, this is literally the first time I've seen this. I didn't search this first, then decide to do this. I decided to do this, and I'm searching it as I go. Of course, I could probably refine it a little bit if I were to do it like that, but it's hard to remember everything. This is one thing I wish they would really do, and that is give the name of the people who put these things together. Sources for further information. Of course, I could do this, but I'm not looking for something that's going to take me 40 minutes for each individual one. I could find much easier sources than this. Of course, I could look at their references. Betraying the young. Human rights violations against children in the U.S. justice system. I like that one. Maybe I should look for it directly. They don't stop being 15 years old because you placed a stamp, tried as adult on them. Hey, that might be a good thesis. A little long, though. but the teacher can tell me that. This won't be graded in that regard. So, don't, hmm, that's probably better. They are still youngsters. It didn't change. I don't care what they did. They could have done the most extreme thing, and I could be right there with you. But it amounts to little more than a lynch mob if the only reason why you're wanting to do this is because you don't want them to, so to speak, get away with it. You may be using the formalities of governmental systems, but it's still just a few steps past lynching them, or hanging them, I should say, out on the streets. And then the dogs chew their feet off. No, there might be a case where we all may want that, so to speak. Realize some countries have actually even outlawed the capital punishment, but to some extent, even we still have it because of our three strikes and you're out rule. I mean, we have it directly, but even in places where they don't have it, they still might because of things like that. Three strikes and you're out. It's amazing that we let baseball decide something like that. Now, where was I? Oh, well, that's the wrong way. Place? Wait a minute. Will this work? I want to try something here. I think it will, but I can just drag it. Yes. Let's escape to get rid of that. You don't stop being youngins. Let's see. Now, if someone reads this and decides you want to use it as your little battle cry for such things, or the battle cry, not a little one, feel free. I don't mind. Have at it. Let's see here. What was I? We have other ages for different things. I guess they do for that as well. But it's kind of weird. These people can't vote. They can pay taxes, though. I guess the reason that works is that they don't stay in that condition. When people get out of it, they think of it like some ascension thing, so they don't mind it staying there. So anyone who really can do anything about it doesn't care anymore. What was I? It's kind of hard for this not to be some kind of political statement because all the ones I chose are. All of them are. Yes, every single one of them. Where am I? These are the ones I chose. I highly suggest not mimicking what I'm doing exactly. What you want to do is learn the method that I'm using to do it. That's the idea. Okay. Now what I need to do, and what's been slowing me down, is that I haven't gone back, which is exactly what I should have done. The moment I put that in, I should have gone straight back here and looked at this to keep me on focus. Okay. Explain the reason for selecting. Now this reason is, easiest way to find a reason is to just go back up here. Read the following list of topics located in appendix, or by clicking here. Let me see. Or by clicking here. Whoa. Oh, okay. Alright, minimize. That's what that was. So I could have just clicked there and it would have given me all of that. Explain a reason. But here is, or by clicking here, on which to write a research paper. Select three topics that interest you. So a reason would be that it interests me because they told me to look for something that interests me. Why does this interest me? And identify two credible sources. So when it says explain the reason, it's saying explain what interested you about the topic. That makes it a little easier to understand. That's all it's asking. So, what interested me about this topic? Here, I think of it as a government form of child abuse. And yep, I did call it child abuse. My reason for this is interesting. This abuse governance. Yep, I think of it as a form of child abuse. See, the government is, how should I put this? It's just declaring them to be adults so they can treat them as such for their purposes. Oh, okay. Simply declaring these children to be adults. Not may treat them so. It's not like they have some properness in it. They just do it so that they can anyone else something like so. So different. Yes. Yes. No, that's wrong, but I'll leave it like that for now. Well, saying, well, hmm, okay. Wow. Now that's one word I did not know how to spell. At least I recognize it right away. Or did I? I would have been completely wrong there. Forgot about the PH. Well, I didn't forget about it. It's just that it never occurred to me. See, I'll make sure this is the right thing. I'll look for it in news. It should be in the news. Big little cover up of the 80s pedophile ring, and okay, that's the right spelling. Okay. None. No difference. Okay. My audience. Wait a minute. Keep it in sync. Audience and provide a preliminary thesis statement. Okay. That's all I need to do. That's it. Let's see. I don't need to say, wait a minute. It didn't ask me? Explain the reason for selecting a topic and identify the audience. Okay, it did ask me for the audience. A moment there, I missed that. Okay, the audience for this would be prosecutors and such. Excuse me. Yes, of course. But whatever. My audience for this topic would be prosecutors, always long, now judges, lawmakers, and anyone else involved. Oh, wait a minute. Lawmakers, wardens. They have minors under their charge. You should keep in mind that they have minors under their charge. Oops. Oh, wardens. Yeah, no. And others involved. Now forget it. I'll say that for later. Involved in this practice. Notice that I use words like practice. Why? Because I'm not trying to justify it incidentally. It isn't. This is just something that is done. It is not some. That's weird. It is not some legally proper thing. It's just what has been being done lately. I say lately because I'm speaking of a country. A country to a country, what's a decade or three? It's just lately. 50 years is lately for a country. One generation is lately for a country. This is fairly new. I basically remember when this came into being. Meaningfully, sometime in the 80s is when it really started. It may have been around here and there, but it wasn't really around that much. And basically what brought it in was a simple desire to put vengeance on them. That's it. They want to be able to act according to the act that was done. So they made up this so that they can then treat it as though it was an adult who did it, even though it wasn't. Which is what it's done. Now, leaving that behind, hopefully, so I can get this other stuff done. It says being done crunch mode. Just a second. I check something. I started doing this, but I started doing it in a drive. And I had very little space left. There's this drive. As you can see, it's still clicking down and down and down. I'm going to delete something significant. Now, this is what I'm using now. I better not do this for too long. Yeah, so I'll delete this. That's an hour and a half. And it's gone. I'll have to do that again. I should have moved it before I started doing this. But I didn't. So, oh well. Of course, I could just have stopped after I finished my first topic. In which case, I wouldn't have had to do that. But I'm fine with it, because I think I'm going to be deleting all that again anyway. I found a much shorter way of doing it. Which is worse, by the way. It's always a good idea to look at things in advance. See, this is 20 hours. I could have been completely done in 20 hours. In far less than 20 hours, So that's my weekend blown away because I didn't look in advance. It's Tuesday now. Just figuring it out. Oh, figured it out last night. Anyway, let's see here. Which do I feel like doing now? Should juries requiring. This one I also stand up out of the chair to yell no for. So it's a good one. Should taxes on alcohol and tobacco be increased? So that one's sort of a, yeah, okay. Maybe I should go back to the question mark one. What was that? Or maybe since I'm only going to stick on one subject, I should just stay with that subject. Let's see. Sex offender registry law be changed. No, not that one. Not that. I'm more about alcohol. And just more or less the same difference about them all. Should laws governing nursing homes be changed? I know too little of that, dare I say. Should they be allowed to attend public school? Man, all of these things are wild. Should unemployment regulations and benefits be changed? No matter what you pick, I think there's always going to be someone who's up in arms about it. And that was the idea, I think. What was number one? Should taxes on people making over $250,000 a year be changed? Personally, I think taxes should be across the board the same level, but that's me. It really hurts a person getting a raise. Effectively, sometimes they get a cut in their pay because they move into a different tax bracket. They increase by 3% and the taxes increase by 7 or whatever the numbers are. So effectively, they get less pay. Some people actually turn down raises for that reason. Or at the very least, it should take into account its effect when it does that, so that you at least get some of your raise. Kind of slide it in a more fluent way rather than these steps. More of an incline, a slope. Now, where was I? Taxes on alcohol be increased. Now, see, my reason is that it interested me because that part's going to be there one way or another. Because some, I'll just forget spelling for now. It's getting in the way of my thought flow. To some extent, practices are major medical bills. Okay? People with adverse driving people would have driving practices should change that a bit. Practices which result in collisions. So let me see. This isn't even taxing the people themselves. If no, I don't want to write that because it isn't done. I was about to say people who. So the parts that you add to a car that had to drive faster and such. Those things had some higher tax associated with them. It would be about the same thing. But that isn't done, so it would actually, if anything, undermine what I'm trying to say. But I think it's only not done because it's not thought of. Well, I should say I don't know if it's done because I've never looked it up. But I'm pretty sure it's not. It's just one other thing to get a sales tax on. Okay. Now, who the audience is? The audience for this would be, hmm, in this case, audience. Audience isn't people I think who may read it. It's people who I'm trying to talk to. Therefore, I'll pick a group that might be a little ridiculous for me to be trying to convince of this. In this case, the audience would be the people who smoke. I am not trying to convince them to pay more in tax. I'm trying to show them the reasoning involved in that regard. Forget about spelling for now. I'm making this up. I should focus on that. That's the hard thing, not the spelling. Let's see. I'm not trying typo or otherwise spelling. Trying to convince them to pay more. Okay? What's the next part? I would look down here to get a clue of what I was asking about, but if I made a mistake there, I'd be stuck with it for all of them. Identify the audience. Provide a preliminary thesis. Oof. What would a thesis for this be? Let's see here. What? Wait a minute. Whatever. What would a thesis for this be? Oh, whoops, I didn't put a thesis for this one. Okay, that's also a good reason. It gives me a chance to realize it. My thesis, that word for some reason annoys me. No, that annoys me. I don't mind it. It's just, it sounds to me like it's trying to be a little overblown. I should look it up sometime and see what it means. Thesis. It's almost like you're trying to show your teeth, just for the sake of letting the bright shine, show, or something. That's not it. Let's see here. It would be smoke. I'll be back to that. I don't want to stick around it to the point that it stresses me. When you allow stress to get into this, it really can wreck your thinking method. Thesis. Should have copied it there too. Why? Because. And that's really why. No. What is this? Oh, I thought it was there. This is a child one. Let me see. What did I say? Is still a child. No. Well, That's the angle. I'm saying if you're saying it like that, then what's the difference between that and someone else saying it for that? For to do this or to do that or to do the other unthinkable thing. Okay, so that one's finished now. I thought I was done earlier, but I was not. That's topic 13. I'll be back to that. Should rules requiring all members of a jury to agree be changed? That's a thought. Art of pressure. Maybe not art. Let me see. The art. First rule. Goal. Tool. Yeah. But maybe not the. The implies the only one. The tool of oppression is easy convictions. No, that doesn't look right. Litmus test. I like that one. What is oppression without easy convictions? Write it now while I was thinking about it. Don't let step by step by step get in the way of creativity in doing these. I'll just have to remember that that was my thesis. Oh, okay. I can just copy it. Oops. Let's see here. Here we are. Save to avoid the tears. Work on this for an hour or so, and then oops, it's lost. Tragic. Tragic. Now, I do want to have these completely done and over with, but I won't let it get in the way of first trying this. Let me see. So the one is as follows. Should rules requiring all members of a jury to agree for conviction be changed? Well, what interested me about this is the fear of what would happen if we were dumb enough to do this. Actually, this. Now, that's not much of a paragraph, but it didn't say it had to be a paragraph, although it did say APA. Well, I won't get an F or an E or whatever for this. This is not that stage. This is a stage where I give it to the teacher. Teacher looks at it, throws it back in my face, and says, no, no, no way. Not going to happen. But I don't actually get failed for it. Then I have to come up with a better response than that. I think this is close enough, though. That's what I really, really want it to be. I want it to be close enough so that the teacher only needs to point out this little bit and that little bit. That way I should be within the ballpark. My audience for this, my audience for this is basically everyone who has that's too broad, has a vote. Wait a minute. Even those who don't have a vote can get out there and get out as a vote. So let me see here. Should rules requiring all members of a jury to agree for conviction be changed? I find myself wanting to look and see what those rules are. Let's see. Jury rules for conviction would be a search for that. Wait a minute. Where's that little reference I did earlier? And this is about the youngsters. Even if I'm not sure that it's a good one, I'll still put it here. I can always take it out. I don't want to take the risk of not remembering where it was. Okay, I'll have to say where in that book it is, of course. You don't just throw that in someone's face. I mean, well, that's my reference. Let's see here. Did it say only one or two? I would imagine. Hmm, didn't ask for a reference. If I, oh, okay, it did. So that's two apiece. Okay, it says two for each topic. So I like to use Wikipedia and other websites. You not qualify. What? As academic resources. Why did it say in other websites? I guess that was a typo. It meant in other such websites. It really meant other websites, and that would just basically throw everything out, which would be ridiculous. There are really good ones on the internet, and it's a good skill to know how to search the internet for good websites. You shouldn't be hiding from that because you're not going to have your school's documents available to you once you graduate. They have thousands of them, and they are all probably available too on the internet. But I want to also get the proper skill at finding good things with the real internet. And since I'm only a few steps from that already, I can work on it. What are you doing? Hmm. Yeah, that's weird. Let's see. That isn't what I was looking for. That has to do with soccer, I think. Oh yeah, that's right. I've seen soccer. They do spray on the ground. They call it football. Well, really, America's the only country with something else, so I guess saying that is off. Okay, let me not waste time on that. More. Explain the reasons for one topic. Identify the audience. Provide preliminary thesis statement and provide two credible academic sources. I'll save that for last. It's hard enough as it is. You could use these sources that I'm using or that I go by and choose not to. There's no problem with that. Just I highly suggest you not use the very same statement. Find your own comment. Or whatever. You can do it, but I wouldn't suggest following it for all of these. I wouldn't use all of these subjects with all of these sources. Now, if I find a source and don't use it, that's one thing. You can do that. There's no actual rule against doing that. It's just not smart. And it doesn't really train you to find your own. The reason why I say it's not smart is that it sets you up as for something that may not have a spoken rule now, but may get one in the future. Certainly nothing wrong with doing it for one of them. But for training purposes, if nothing else, I suggest you find your own. You can use this as a guide to the reasoning process that at least I'm using. You can use this and then take what you already know and probably come up with something better. It's good to have a voice in your head, so to speak. I don't mean a literal voice, but a writer voice that to you works. That when you think in that mode, you're able to think for writing. It may take you a few weeks or whatever to develop it, but once you develop it, you'll have a good little tool to use in your thinking to help you get it.